Did you listen to the hot breakfast this morning? Here's what you missed.
Super Senator Sakaja S3 is in the house. Is he running for governor of Nairobi? He has hinted that he is. Well, also Jubilee has an NDC National Delegates Conference at the end of this month. What's going to happen then? Tick tock, who knows? Super Senator Sakaja, karibu sana. Welcome to this Hot 96.
Asante sana. It's great to be here. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah, mlinisahau. Sijui wapi.
First question, are you running for governor of Nairobi in 2022?
Yes, I'm running for governor of Nairobi. And I think people asking me why haven't I declared? You know, there's a big overlap between, serving the people of Nairobi as their senator and now turning and becoming an aspirant. So I'm not an aspirant, I'm not campaigning. I'm just doing my work as usual. When I go Mtaa, like on Sunday I was in Kawangware and then Umoja, I still have to serve, continue serving before removing that hat of wanting to, be an aspirant or running for the seat. But I'm going for it. I'm going for Nairobi. I believe just the same way I did before that we can make Nairobi work, and let's make Nairobi work in all respects. And it's possible. Many people have given up on Nairobi. They had given up before. One of the proposals on the BBI had been to scrap Nairobi, to have it as a seat of national government. And I really resisted that because I said, look, if devolution is the biggest gift this constitution has given to Kenyans, why deny 10% of Kenyans that gift of devolution? Because you devolve not just power and money, but a sense of identity and ownership of the city. That lady in Mutuini or in Umoja or Kayole can have someone they can touch and feel and say, look, I hold you to account. So I said, just because the first two have not worked out doesn't mean you make the whole of Nairobians suffer. Because at the national level, you might find a bad person, Yeah. It's all that counties are the ones with devils, and then the guys in the National Assembly are angels. I mean, in the national government are angels. So we can get it right this time. I think the electorate is more enlightened as I've been going around. They have learned from the mistakes of the past. They've seen where we went wrong. And they'll be able to make their own decision as to who governs the city. And I'm hopeful that I shall be given the chance to serve Nairobians in that capacity.
Tell me, what are the three things you've noticed that have been done wrong, or what would you like to change? You say the others were
the first thing is
demons. Did you say demons or devils?
The first thing, no, I didn't say it is a devil. I'm just saying the assumption that for something to work, it must be in the hands of the national government is wrong.
Yes,
it's a very centralist thinking of those who are against devolution. But the first thing I would do, of course, is sort of transport. That's the first thing you must do. If there's only one thing you do,
yes,
we need a metro. We cannot have a global hub, 21st century capital, which is the future of this continent, where the only thing public about public service is the passengers. There's nothing public about it. It rains, Bay in Endaju.
Yes.
It takes you 2 hours to go from one end of the city. In fact, if you have something in the Sol area and Westlands, you can't do it on the same day. Once you sort that out with proper mass transit, the way it has been planned, by JICA and, all these plans have been there. We need proper rail going around, a rapid bus. You sort out so many other things. You sort out housing. People don't have to live right next to where they work. People's kids can go to school properly. You don't have to get kids, being woken up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. to go to school. You'll sort out a lot. So mass transit for me is the first. In fact, if there's the only thing that would be done, is that. Of course, number two, and of course, it can be done. There are many people interested to come on a PPP model. 3 years, look at the Saudi metro, the Dubai metro. Yeah, they did it in 3 years. Yeah. Saudi. In fact, the guy who did it in Saudi and is part of the management company there is George Opondo. I met him when I went there.
Yes.
On another issue which we'll discuss on our girls going to that country. So Kenyans, the London transit system is run by Kenyan. But we must have that. Because
we had yes. KBS back in the day, which was pretty good.
It worked. It used to take us across the city. You take a number 8, it becomes number 42. You go all the way to Dandora and whatnot. Town was not a termination point. That's why sometimes some of these ideas being implemented like that. What is it? This Green Park. I said it can't work. And you see, it's not worked because you've not involved the people. You've not thought about, okay, you bring all these people here. How will they even cross over to town? That alone was a mess, and it's a mess. And I asked in the Senate what feasibility study was done before. So we must sort out transit. You must know that if I get up, I'll park my car at Ngong, there's a node there, and there's a 7 a.m. train, there's a 7:20, there's a 7:30. I am sure I'll be in town or I'll be in Westlands by 7:45 every day like clockwork. Look at the biggest cities in the world. I have friends in New York. Jeff, you have friends. You were there the other day. There are guys who are doing big on Wall Street. They don't even own a car.
No, in fact, they live in like Philadelphia or they live in way, like 2 hours away.
Yeah. You stay in New Jersey. You know, you take a 30-minute, 45-minute train. Yeah, you're on the Amtrak and you're there. Nairobi is a frontier of this continent. Everybody wants to come here. If you look at Africa, which is the only growth place in the world, you know, West Africa has just mineral rich. There's not much above the ground, you know, apart from, I mean, they have a good startup ecosystem, but it's really just mineral rich. No one wants to go there and invest as much. South Africa is imploding, you know.
Because of their xenophobia and all that, yeah.
Look at this region, yeah. Look up north, Ethiopia. Look what's happening.
Yeah.
Where would somebody come and put resources? Every multinational wants to have their capital here, but until we sort out that issue of transit. Number two, healthcare and water. And the mistake many people make when you get to Nairobi, you're not sort out everything. You will not do it. You can't be a Superman. Yeah.
But you have to give Nairobi Metropolitan Service a little credit for at least, you know, digging boreholes and, you know, sorting out the water issues.
The water issues are deeper than digging boreholes, Jeff. I'm glad in the first 100 days they were able to do a lot of boreholes, like 100 of them, across the city. And members of the public were able to get water. Now, in many of those areas, you'll find the water is contaminated because of our water table, you know, and because of the lack of a proper sewerage system. So a lot of those are even now obsolete already. Nairobi's issue of water is two things. Number one, the quantity of water coming into Nairobi. That's why you have the Northern Collector Tunnel project, you know, coming all the way from Murang'a County and the environs, just to increase the level, the quantity of water being brought into the city, you know, the number of millions of cubic meters that you require. But then number two is the water infrastructure. Yeah, it needs to be overhauled because the water infrastructure we have currently in the city is very old. And now the former, you know, people who've been in charge have known the tricks. You know, you'll go somewhere in Kariobangi and where the water level is, or in Langata, somebody has built a house around their plot and has water bowsers. So they've infiltrated the system, and now they're selling water. So you just put SCADA technology. SCADA technology will tell you, yeah, where on your phone as a governor, I'll be able to look and say, look, hapa ndo mmekata maji Langata, or where, because you can see the entire system. It's used internationally. We need to overhaul the actual physical, you know, infrastructure, and it's a big project that must be done. Almost 80% of Nairobians have never had a shower, like from the top of their heads. They don't experience that. People don't want to be given water in jerry cans and bowsers. They want water, running water, piped water in their houses, which they pay for, as Nairobi used to be. And we can do it. We're a city of 4.3 million people, you know, and with the resources, an annual budget of close to 40 billion, you can give people water, just water, decent water. Yeah. So these quick bandage solutions don't work. You must look at Nairobi. Okay, this is a global capital. Yeah. Let's say now we want to make it the capital of Africa and just, you know, be that, you know, have that kind of audacity. So what does it take in the next 30 years for us to be there and work backwards? That's the vision we need. Not just quick bandage solutions. Those ones are not sustainable. They'll help us for now, but that is not where we want to see Nairobi going in future.
Would you say that the NMS has managed to get rid of cartels? Because I hear cartels are involved in lots of things, including collection of revenue.
Not necessarily. I think they began, NMS has been a cocktail of hits and misses. They began very well. Especially in the CBD.
Yeah.
But if you go downtown, there's really no much presence. They've done well with the hospitals. They've increased the number of hospitals. But I had an inquiry with them on critical care specialists. You know, you find a place like Pumwani has only 2 critical care nurses, and it's a discussion we're having, and they've sent me a report on how they're trying to, because you know. Now it's more than just brick and mortar.
Yes.
You know, it's the people. Where are the doctors? Where are the nurses? Where's the medicine? You can have a facility, like I'm glad we finished this Kariobangi one, but are the people being served there? Or they're coming and they're being told, next door, dawa from a private practitioner. That's not what we should be doing. And I'm glad the KEMSA debt is being paid by Nairobi, because Nairobi has had a huge backlog. That's why we've not been able to get drugs. And that is being paid. So NMS has tried, but ultimately NMS was coming to do first aid in Nairobi. We had a situation where the governor couldn't operate because of his court case at that time. And remember, they said that if you've been charged in court, then you can't execute. And he had no deputy, so there was need for first aid, and they have done first aid. But now what Nairobi needs is radical surgery, proper, to sort out things that are fundamental, systemic problems that we've had in this city for a long time, and bring back the glory we had. Yeah, that's why I keep saying, let's make Nairobi work. It can work.
Will NMS end as when elections come? Or
actually, it's supposed to end earlier. The NMS, the deed of transfer, and I was involved in drafting that at that time.
Okay.
The deed of transfer was for 24 months. So after 24 months, which is March, NMS is supposed to expire. Now, there is no provision of its extension. And we're saying, look, maybe we should actually just let them run the course until August. But the new administration, the new governor, will now have to make a decision on how to deal with what had been NMS's structure. And for me, I mean, once I get in there, I'll see what's working, you maintain, what's not working, you keep it. But the constitutional mandate, Article 187, responsibility remains with the people of Nairobi through the elected governor.
Yeah, there's another candidate who's declared his interest in the Nairobi seat, Westlands MP Tim Wanyonyi, who seems to be favored allegedly by ODM and its hierarchy. They say this is our preference.
That's good, and there'll be many candidates. I mean, it's an election. Anyone who's interested will come up. And Nairobians will make a decision. They know their leaders. They'll look at your track record, what you've been able to do, where you've been, and that decision will be made. Tim is a great guy. I think he's done well in Westlands. I wish him, all the best in campaigning.
Yeah, you were quoted the other day as saying we shouldn't get leaders imposed on us.
Yes, we can't. I think there's been talk of Nairobi being a settlement county. That the big honchos are going to sit and horse trade and agree on who becomes a candidate. And I keep telling them the Nairobi voter has become a bit sophisticated. They've learned from their mistakes. You cannot impose a candidate, a preferred candidate or a project on 4.3 million people, on close to 3 million voters. Last time I had 2.3 million voters, now they're 3 million. They'll make a decision. And you saw what happened, Peter Kenneth, when he was being imposed. As great a guy as he is, Nairobians resisted. Remember Eugene Omalo at some point was trying to also, be a project. I'll tell you, I'm Bio Sana. In Nairobi. Yeah. You can't insult the intelligence of the people of Nairobi. They will see, they will think, they will interrogate, and they'll make a decision. So everybody who is looking for that, I'll tell them, stop looking for Uhuru Kenyatta's endorsement or Raila Odinga's endorsement, like you've said. Go to the people directly and talk to them. Go to the people of Nairobi directly. They'll feel insulted that you're getting their vote through somebody else. In my opinion. Come to radio, explain your vision, go to TV, go around the city, get to know the city and all its corners and crevices and issues and formlessness in many respects. And then people will make a decision.
Yeah, Nairobi's a tough town, Senator. It's a tough town. Why would anybody want to be governor in this place, man? It's such a mess.
Because you can serve and you can make such a huge impact in Nairobi. If Nairobi works, Kenya works. If you care about this country, you don't want to start with Nairobi. And I'm sure once we give that example, because I said, people say, what are you going to come do in your first 100 days? What are you going to do in your first year? I don't want a 100-day term. I want a proper term. And you plan it and say, look, the plan for Nairobi in 10 years is going to be this. The halfway mark is 5 years. If I've not done it in 5 years, kick me out.
Do you have any plans for schools? Back in the day, our county schools were really nice.
Yeah.
The institutions you'd look forward to going to now, they're just derelict, abandoned, sort of.
They're a mess. Now, unfortunately, schools are not devolved. Primary schools, they have gone to the national government. But I still see, look, you need to think beyond the black and white of the constitution to the spirit of it. The spirit of it is that education should work. So as governor, the first thing you do is partner with the national government. The schools which under our jurisdiction will help at least with infrastructure. If you look at some of the schools, the toilets that these kids are using, I was in Currency the other day. Currency was such a nice school. But if you look at it, I was in Tumaini Primary there just on Sunday, as I was going through Moja and Unity. It's not a place you'd want your child to go to. So why would you allow somebody else's child to go to? So we partner. Number two, there's a program that I've started together with Food for Education that I've been doing and I've been encouraging this lady called Wawira Njiru. School feeding. Yes. Our kids must get food in school. And that the county government will do. In Dagoretti South, together with Honorable KJ, kids are getting fed every day. We're now doing 11 schools in Nairobi. 33,000 children are being fed through that program. They come, they get 650 grams of food, and what you see is that they eat a bit and pack it and take it home because there's nothing at home. COVID has really, really, really messed up a lot of families. So unless you give that child that meal, if there's nothing in their tummy, there'll be nothing in their brain. I think the county government must do school feeding for our kids. I mean, I used to get Maziwa Nyayo, and we'd look forward to it. And the schools have gone to look at Ruta Primary School. There's another school in Dagoretti South and Dagoretti North, where even discipline has changed because of school feeding. There's no one who's supervising. They just come, make their line. They have a watch. It's called Tap to Eat. And the person just checks the phone that they registered because it's 15 shillings a day. just 15 bob for all that food. And for those who can't pay, they're still allowed to get some food. So education, that's where it would come in, and ECD. So the ECD now is early childhood, which is now part of the county's work. Many counties have not done much on ECD. And just the other day, I was touring Kericho and Bomet, as you know, on behalf of the Labour Committee. You find that there's no proper scheme of service. The teachers are not being paid for ECD. In one county, you'll find it's 10,000 shillings. Another county, it's 30,000 shillings. So we want a uniform scheme of service, because that's the real foundation of education. If you don't get it right at nursery level, it's hard to catch up later, given how education is. So that's what I do for education. For healthcare, the other thing I've just remembered when I talk about ECD is community health volunteers. You need those ones in there. They're all over the city. The other day I was talking to 100 of them from Kariobangi North. Yeah, there are 110 of them. And the ones who know, he plot this family, there's this issue in this family, this one, they normally need this. This is how we teach them on sanitation. Here there is TB, here there is a family problem. And if you invest in them, yeah, and pay them 15K, which will come to around 1.5 B in Nairobi, just 15K, the amount of money we will save because of the preventative aspect of health is much more than what we think we're saving by not paying them. So we'll reduce the burden on our hospitals and dispensaries. The 24 that NMS has done, what was there, you'll reduce the burden by just getting these CHVs engaged. And that is one of the things I intend to do, to get them engaged properly as a city.
A moment ago, Senator, you were talking about KEMSA. You heard that 900 people facing a layoff. And what are you in the Senate doing about that? There's been a lot of hue and cry about it.
Yeah, the statement that was brought by Senator Olekina about it. Again, it's a labor issue which I need to deal with. The labor procedures, the labor laws, and I'm glad I had the CS of labor, CS Chelugui, himself saying that according to him, in as much as there's collective responsibility in cabinet, it's not right just to lay off people like that. You can't do that. Our laws do not allow that. There must be a process. If you're saying these people are part of the mess, yet you've fired watchmen and cleaners and very low cadre staff, and then now you want to militarize it. I don't think that's a route we want to take. We look at the report. I spoke to the CS and he said, look, you guys are the ones who passed a report that said we need to clean up house. But I don't think that's what was meant in terms of cleaning up house. It's your systems that you sort out. It is your governance, ethics manuals. It is your procedures that you are supposed to sort out, not make 900 people, Kenyans, with families, with kids in school, making them jobless. I think that could be a bit heartless.
Yeah.
Earlier on you mentioned that there was a bit of a constitution change that was created to incorporate NMS.
Yeah.
Is there anything that's being done so that we can really get rid of corruption? Because you've spoken about KEMSA, then I thought about all the things that we've seen on TV where the CS is put on the spot, but nothing really comes out of it.
Corruption is a value problem. You can't legislate ethics. So what you do, you deal with systems. For Nairobi, for instance, what you'd want to do first is reduce, to the greatest extent, human interaction with cash and subjective decisions based on cash. So your planning system, for instance, if you're doing approvals for plannings, let that be automated such that it's just at the end level, at the end stage where somebody interacts. You have AI to document the processes. If I'm finding you for traffic offenses, many countries, once the camera hits your car and you've done that offense, you already deducted, you get a ticket. It's not you to negotiate with somebody.
Yeah.
When you're paying, taxes and these business permits, it should not be cash that you're paying somebody. Once you reduce human interaction with cash, then you do deterrence. That those ones who you find must be an example to the rest. You'll start reducing it. But it starts from the top. The staff in Nairobi County, and I'll give an example without saying who it is. One of the people who had a chance of running the city once told me that when they got in, everyone was following the procedures, everyone was on cue, they were doing things well, until they did a certain project. And he said, out of this one, so Rudisha Mkono, to procurement people, whatnot, and they were given something, and said, this guy is just like us. And he could never manage the county again. So it starts from the top. If they see you as a leader, as a governor,
I wonder who that was.
I will not say who it is. But if they see you as a governor, as a leader, yourself, your hand is in the cookie jar. What are you going to tell people? So you must have impeccable integrity at the top. You must lead by that example.
Speaking of integrity, Senator, FKF.
Yes, that's
what
another inquiry.
A mess.
Yeah. It's really unfortunate what's happening. The CS And I think you saw last week in the Senate, I was dealing with this matter because, again, it came to my committee. Sports is a huge frontier for our country, for employment, for engagement of our young people. And it must be managed well. And so there's been hue and cry about the performance of FKF, and there's been allegations, because there are still allegations of corruption. The Sports Act, Section 52, allows the Cabinet Secretary or the Registrar to commence on an investigation or an inspection of any organization, and that's what they did. But when they did that, I think the FKF guys got jittery, and they preempted it, saying, no, you can't inspect us, you shouldn't inspect us, we'll get banned by FIFA, we'll get messed. And so they came to the Senate through a statement, and I brought them all, and the CS is coming later in the week. And I said, look, everyone must be audited. You cannot escape or hide under the FIFA ban and say we cannot be. Everyone, even the ministry that's auditing you, we audit the ministry as well. Because the taxpayers' money. The sports fund has spent 3.2 billion on sports. We want to know where that has gone to. And the amounts of money given to FKF, 244 million at AFCON, and many other, disbursements. Let us know. And even what you get from FIFA, you don't get it from FIFA because you're a private entity. You get it on behalf of Kenyans, because it's Kenya that you're representing. So we must look at that. I doubt there'd be any ban. And even if there is, without preempting the results of that exercise, we are doing so badly that in the next 3 years we have nothing international. So if that's what it takes to clean house, it's only the girls who will suffer, the starlets. But beyond that, let's just sort it out. And I know football politics. My dad was KFF treasurer, and I remember how it was even back in those days of Jobo Mino and Obingo, and then later Peter Kenneth and all of those people. It's a huge frontier. We can't say that Kenya cannot make it. We can make it, but let's clean house. If they're innocent, and I always say there must be a presumption of innocence, because sometimes the story too that the way Nick is dressed, even Kerry is saying they're going to come look at social media. Say the way Nick looks these days and they're smiling, he must be eating. So sometimes there's sensationalism around matters of the perception of corruption. But I always say let facts come, let the law be followed. If there's nothing to hide and there's no ulterior motives again, or victimization or personalization of the issue, then Nick will have a chance to see what's been happening.
But it's a shame for Kenyan football. There's so much talent. There's so much that we could have been. Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Yeah.
Or still can be.
And still can.
But there's much more. In fact, if we were to chill for 3 years and invest in grassroots football, I've been fighting the issue of Dandora Stadium, which stalled. And I had a hearing 2 weeks ago with the NMS and the ESCC and everyone, because they had stopped it. Dandora was such a huge catchment that in the last 2 years that it's been closed, there are even young guys who've been shot dead in Eldoret from Dandora, because they've gone back to crime. There is Umeme grounds in Ziwani where we do Kothbiro. There's Woodley grounds, there's Kawangware. There's all of this city stadium itself, which used to be amazing. We used to go watch football as kids. It used to be something, and we said we must rename it Joka Dengue Stadium. Nothing is happening. So if we just invest a little bit in our sports, the talent is there, but we must start at the grassroots football.
The other day, I think it's called CAF. That has banned the use of the 2 stadiums. Those are the 2 major stadiums we have. What is the main issue? Because there's always works going on there. I live on Mombasa Road. The stadium is always going through something, a rename, a painting, things being changed.
I don't know what the specific issue was there, and I need to find out, because so much money was put in. So I don't know if it is the level of the turf, or whether it is the seating
or the craftsmanship.
Because I think you must have seats, physical seats, individual seats. There is where the standards have actually changed. Where the players sit, on the bench must be individual benches and all that. There's security issues. So we look at what remedial action can be taken. But we'll ask, when you're doing this and designing this contract for your contractor, didn't you know the requirements of FIFA or of CAF? I mean, you're not designing, bouncing castles or a playground. This is an international stadium that must be used. You don't just, bring, art into it. Because it looks beautiful. But what value is it looking beautiful?
Because it's not just folk soccer. Even Masai Ujiri of Toronto Raptors came here and said the Nyayo basketball gymnasium is
a mess.
It's still
a mess.
I was with him.
Very school.
I was with Masai. He's a good friend, and we went to Korogosho, where we did a basketball court. Before he went to Samburu, where he's done another. He's doing 100 courts in Africa. And he was telling me later that the next day we had dinner, and he was telling me that it really pained him that where he's put that beautiful court in Korogosho, these kids will not be able to play basketball well because they're inhaling the fumes from the dump site. It's right next the Dandora dump site.
Why did he pick that area? Why didn't he bring it uptown?
I don't know how it was identified, because I didn't ask him. I think he has his team that did the identification. I think there is need there as well, because uptown there are many churches with basketball courts. There are more facilities and availability of facilities as opposed to Islam. So I think it was right to take it to that side. And I asked him, I need a few more courts in Nairobi. Ideally the county should be doing that, but for now, if he's and he had around in Nigeria, he's done some in Ghana. And it's a good thing. He's a Kenyan. We take pride in him because his mom is Kenyan. So as much as his dad is Nigerian, we claim this Toronto Raptors president. But much more must be done for our sports.
Speaking of the counties doing this, is there systems in place to get back playgrounds? Because most of them were snatched by.
We'll just take them back.
Grab it back.
We must grab it back because we know where the playgrounds used to be. When we were kids, I used to walk from Gara to Karioko. We'd go play. We'd go to Isili. We'd go to Pango. We know those
all estates. There was a small playground allocated.
There are playgrounds, and even that's what we're saying in this urban renewal and what we're trying to do. Because I sat with the chairs of 10 estates where we want to do now high-rise buildings. They're really rushing it. I think because the time is running out. I said, what they're saying. There's space for us to be. It's not space. That space is not empty space as you think. That is space for our children to play, and it's important. It's a social issue. It's a health issue, for people to be able to be fit. So don't try and create concrete jungles again in this city, in the pretext of doing urban housing. Do a mix. There must be space. There must be playgrounds. So there are many. The Tomboya Social Hall in Makadara, I know that one was going, and we've stopped that grab. It cannot go. We've seen what was happening in Martin Luther, in Buruburu, where we've also brought a statement. I brought it. Jeff. Without blowing anyone's trumpet, if you actually go through the work that is done in the Senate, I have brought so many statements and issues of concern to Nairobians that other committees have not been able to pick up, and to keep up with it, because there's always an issue. We have 17 constituencies where there's always a matter, and you must be in touch with all of those issues. Right now I'm grappling with the issue of another demolition in Embakasi East, in an area called Mradi. Fortunately, I've just heard that just last night that they're coming to an agreement, and I'll be passing the message down to the people there. But Nairobi, that's how Nairobi is. That's how Nairobi is. Homeless as
further afield. Earlier on, you mentioned about Saudi. Remember
Yes.
the whole controversy about our girls going there and being mistreated, even killed in some instances. And you were there. You made a visit there not too long ago.
We did a visit to Saudi Arabia a few months ago. And when we went to Saudi Arabia, because of all the complaints we've been receiving in Kenya, we visited, of course, our embassy. We went and listened to them. We met the Minister for Employment, Human Resource of Saudi, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We sat with mega recruiters. They have mega recruitment agencies, the ones which want all these domestic workers and whatnot.
Right.
We sat with all of them. We listened to their issues. We came back. And even with that, we start with the Kenyan girls. We start with the Kenyan girls who are currently working in certain areas, those who ran away from their employment, and elsewhere, those who are in distress. And we got back and did a series of meetings. Based on what we've seen, Jeff, in a year, 93 deaths. 93. One death is too many. 93 deaths of our girls coming back in caskets. People running away from their employment. On Sunday, I retweeted something about, a girl recorded her employer trying to defile her, and they get away scot-free. And we looked at all those issues. Now, we agree, labor is a huge, potential economic frontier for this country, export of labor. And we keep saying we don't have much under our ground. We don't have gold or oil. But our biggest resource is above the ground. It's our people. And they want our people. If you look at remittances now, Saudi is number 3 in terms of remittances to Kenya, after the UK and the US, and remittances have become the biggest source of foreign currency in this country, which is a bad thing and a good thing. Good thing because it means our Kenyans out there are sending money back. Bad thing because it means we're selling nothing as a country. We're a net importer. So we looked at all of that and we said, look, in as much as there is the good, there are 88,000 Kenyans working there. Most of them are okay, and they're not just domestic workers. We found them in Maharar. We found them in what do you call it? There's this huge agricultural enterprise, Almaraya or something, where there are more than 5,000 Kenyans. STC, their mobile network, has more than 2,000 Kenyans. So we've said all domestic labor migration for domestic workers to Saudi Arabia be suspended until government demonstrates to us that they're dealing with a number of issues. The first issue, we must establish the status of all Kenyans currently in their prisons. There's a prison called Malaz in Riyadh. There's Taril Deportation Center in Riyadh, and there are many other centers around there where Kenyans are being held for no reason because walikosana na mkubwa or whatnot. We must repatriate them back because a Kenyan is a Kenyan. No matter where they are, we must protect our Kenyans. Number two, the status of all domestic workers, where they work and where they live and what their employment is and their contact. There's a system called Musanid, which was recently introduced, where you log in and you can tell Grace Akinyi has gone, she's working in this house, at this much, this is a contact. So the issue of confiscating their phones and passports must stop. This is not slavery. We must stop that slavery. Then, all of those who are in distress and want to come back must be returned. And we want to see a plane going there and bringing back our girls who, they're many in distress, they don't have the travel documents. It is so bad that once you're out of that system, because they're also brokers, who are Kenyans as well, who say, okay, in this house you're getting 50K, because that's around the going rate. Just get out of that contract. I'll give you a job at 100. And they get out. But without the document, without there's a card called, I think, Ijamar or something, you cannot even get medical care. Many people have died at the doors of hospitals. So there used to be a system by the Kenyans who live there called Jaliat, where the embassy gives you a letter, and based on that letter, you can be able to say, this is a Kenyan, please give them medical assistance. So all of these things must be established. The Filipinos who are there, there are millions of Filipinos there, the biggest. They're not having these issues. Their country has negotiated even their salaries. Their country has negotiated even their calling rates home, phone calls, as well as how much, for money transfer. So many countries have done proper bilateral labor agreements between themselves and Saudi, and we need to do it. It's a growing economy. They're saying, they're estimating, yes, we have 88,000 Kenyans, but we would want almost 500,000 or 1 million.
In Saudi alone?
In Saudi, because they're building a new city. So skilled work. Now we want a skilled labor agreement. But beyond that, what does this speak to, Jeff? We're not doing enough to create jobs in our country. That is the issue. That's why people have to go. They don't go there because they want to do tourism or because they're having fun. It's because we've not been able to create those opportunities here. Yeah? And therefore, me, that's why I want to be an executor, because I've been a legislator. I brought the 30% procurement law. To give young guys business, young people, youth, women and persons with disability. That was in 2015. The same year as when I created this National Employment Authority, which is registering these agencies. Because I said, look, if you can't get a job, you must be able to run a business. But you must have a livelihood. Yeah. How many counties are implementing that? 0.
Why is that?
Because you're giving your cronies the contracts. You're not giving these young people, because even at the national level and the county level, if you give these young people the business, you won't get your 10%. Yeah? In Nairobi alone, for instance, you're talking about more than 3-4 billion that will be going to the hands of young people, women, and persons with disability. How would that transform the society? It will transform it. So you see, instead of just looking like a talk shop, Sakaja talks, he has brought the highest number of bills. In fact, that's why I was given CBS, they had like 2-3 years ago, chief of the banning speech, just because of legislation. Now let me execute. Now let me be in charge of that law which I passed. Let me be in charge of creating opportunities of employment. Let me be in charge of dealing with procurement opportunities for young people, women, and persons with disability. Because all we can do is make noise about it and legislate. I've legislated enough, Jeff. We brought in a lot of laws. Yeah. Enough of that. Let's make Nairobi work.
Time to walk the talk. Finally, Senator, you are the patron of AFC Leopards, Ingwe. A lot of people asking, what is ailing Ingwe, Senator? What's going on?
We can talk for the whole day about Ingwe.
You can start with the legislation you've done for Ingwe.
The Ingwe bill. No, AFC Leopards and many of our community clubs have a lot of challenges when it comes to sponsorship. So there's goodwill, but the management in many respects of these clubs has not been able to translate that goodwill into resources. So I remember with my friend Ronald, earlier on, was able to secure a proper deal for FC with the Sport Pesa. They were getting 65 million, 70 million. All salaries were sorted. The only thing that was not there was win allowances. Now Sport Pesa folded. and the left, and they've been doing amazing job with our sports.
Yeah.
That one you must hand it to them.
Yeah.
Even recently, we were opening a boxing ring, and just covered it in Umoja, courtesy of them, despite the hard times they're going through. Government has not supported these community clubs, and they have not been able to come up with a proper system of raising funds. You remember Gor Mahia tried to sell bread, and then it failed. There are all these challenges, and I think from the sports fund, some of these top clubs, community clubs, should be supported, because it's a matter of management and resources. That's what it is. I mean, look at clubs like Manchester United and all those clubs. They're serious commercial entities. If you look at all the fan base of Gor Mahia and AFC Leopards, a smart management can turn that into something. And that is what has been missing. Yeah. So, unfortunately, as Patron, all I do is come in when there are issues, because I don't have an executive role in the day-to-day running. But I know that there must be improvements in all our community clubs, not just AFC Leopards. I believe in AFC Leopards for many reasons since I was a kid, but I see a good future with the coach we have now. With the players we're getting in. Unfortunately, there's been high turnover, but at least this coach has, stuck his guns. Yeah.
Speaking of coaches, how about your friend?
Hey, Engine Firaj. You know who that is?
Who's that?
Exactly.
Maybe we just Google and see if he's still around. He had a 2 month. Oh, yeah, I think it's ending on the 17th of
November. Oh my God, what a mess. What a mess. Oh, someone is asking about Gikomba fires, Senator. I mean, they're too frequent. In fact, it's Gerald. Who is Muzajiwa?
Vifuniko vya asali.
Otherwise known as honey lids.
Oh. I can guess. Gikomba is a terrible situation. And in fact, I said, even as Senator, I'm tired of going there after a fire and talking about the fires. We asked from the first time. I remember when the IG was different, the Inspector General. It was not even Mutiambai, it was his predecessor. We said, first of all these investigations you've done on the causes of the fires, we've never gotten results. So there are 3 reasons why fires have been occurring in Gikomba. The first has been land disputes. Yeah, so the entire 12 acres, the people who lay claim to the title. And we've said before, and even we got the president to proclaim, that if you're holding a title and you think it's for Gikomba, that's not a title. That is public land. It was acquired illegally. For you to say it's public land. So whatever you're holding, don't think that you'll ban so that you move people out. Because ideally, you'd ban, then the fence moves. You ban another area, then it moves. It will not happen. Not in this day and age. The people of Gikomba and the leaders are there will not allow it. Number 2, which is very unfortunate, and I say it, and our friend who sells these leads must know, a lot of the fire is internal sabotage. Yeah, because of insurance. So you find, you've insured your stuff for 10 million, stock imeisha, munachoma, then you go claim. And that needs internal policing of each other. There have been cases which are insurance driven. But number 3 also is now mechanical fault, electricity faults. They're the ladies who sell food during the day. So they cook it overnight, the githeri. And so it's cooking overnight, firewood. You have some of the street boys also who are just, one out of moto. And so accidents happen. So those are the 3 causes and the electrical faults. What we said is the following. Number 1, the proper planning of Gikomba. And the PS Hinga knows what we've agreed and discussed. Some of those parts are too small for even any rescue to be done, for the fire engines to come in. There used to be these small quad bikes with water. There used to be some water hydrants that had been set up there. Yeah. But now people have encroached too much. And they must agree and police themselves. There must be that fire station there. I don't know how you're going to put a fire station in Gigiri. I've not had the fires there as opposed to Gikomba. There must be a fire station there. Yeah, Gigiri, let's let it go. And I'm not saying we shouldn't have it. But also where the fires have been occurring. And that is part of what we've legislated on disaster management with Senator Mutula. That there must be, the areas which are prone to that. We know Gikomba for bans. We know Madare because of illegal power connections. And we agreed with Kenya Power to come and do a social power connection for the low-income areas because they cannot afford. So they'll just tap electricity for themselves. So that's the issue in combined. And I trust, I hope we get a solution around those three issues that I've raised.
Gicomba is 12 acres, huh?
It's around 12 acres, yeah.
Wow. Finally, Jubilee has an NDC later this month, National Delegates Congress. Are you kicking out the rebels finally, or what's the deal?
I don't know. Maybe I'm also being kicked out. We're waiting.
But why would they kick you out?
I don't know.
You've been working diligently.
Diligently.
I think you should invite Tuju and Murade to explain what's going on. Jubilee was a dream. I even the name and the logo, Jeff, you know the role I played
remember.
as a founding member from TNA.
Yeah.
But there's a way they're running it. Let's wait and see what they have in store for us. But we are loyal members of Jubilee.
Yeah, but clearly you seem very disappointed in your party because you were there at the beginning.
Yeah.
At the
we had a dream
onset.
for what it needed to be, a proper institution. Jeff, I can tell you, since the day I got my certificate for senator for Nairobi, I don't know what happens in that building. Yeah? And a party is about its membership. A party is about consultation. It's about meetings. So it'll be very good for this to be the first time we meet, for us to hear what the plans are for the party, and people will then make decisions about their political futures.
Yeah. So you're going to be there?
If I'm invited, I've not been invited.
What do you mean?
But see, a party member,
You're a founder.
I'll rock up.
you just
Yeah, but I've not seen. I mean, there was a Jubilee parliamentary caucus recently. I heard about it in the papers. I said, you guys surely, I mean, how do you choose who is Jubilee and who is not Jubilee? When I was chair of TNA, we invited everyone. When we had issues, we'd sort them out internally, we'd discuss, we'd debate, we'd have party position, we'd talk. You never had any rebel in TNA when I was sharing it. Because, it's leaders. Come, let's talk. What you think about this? You think we go left, I think we go right. Let's discuss. Whatever is agreed, take collective responsibility. But this one where the only meetings are to chase out people, are to rule. I mean, a party is supposed to be... The future of our country is in strong political institutions based on issues, not based on an individual or iron fist. I mean, we've all left high school and primary school. There's no headmaster. This is a political party,
Yeah.
So I hope, and I've seen efforts to revive the party, I hope that they work, because I believe in it. Even when you have a family member who's unwell, no matter how people are saying, this one is going to pass on, you do everything it takes. You even take them abroad sometimes until you resuscitate them and bring them to good health. So I hope that is what will happen to Jubilee. So I'll wait to see if I'm invited, and I'll be glad to attend.
So you said the owners are Tuju and Murate that we need to talk to. The
They're
owners
not the owners, they're the caretakers. When the cow gets lost, you ask them. Yeah, so invite them here and let them explain what's going on.
Super Senator Sakaja, S3. Good to see you as always, man.
Asante sana, Jeff.